මෙය ඔවුන්ගේ අනාගතයේ කොටසක් වන්නට ඉඩ නොදෙන්න. ඔබ මුහුදු වෙරළට යන සෑම අවස්ථාවකම වෙරළ පිරිසිදු කිරීමට පුංචි මිනිත්තුවක් වැය කරන්න. ප්ලාස්ටික් සයිකල් වෙතින් පණිවිඩයක්.
In 2019, Keells pledged to reduce 50% of its single-use polythene usage in stores by 2025. So far, on a monthly basis, we inspired 38,000 shoppers to switch to reusable bags and around 108 shoppers to bring their own containers for shopping. We replaced 132,000 plastic straws with paper straws while continuing to look for a sustainable solution for juice cups. Our top crust bread bags were replaced with compostable bags, reducing over 20,000 single-use polythene bags a day. Our fish, meat, fruit and vegetable counters also switched to compostable bags. That's not all. We continued to build awareness among our staff on the importance of reducing polythene usage and walk the journey towards reducing our impact on the environment, because together we can.
The ocean. Our island is surrounded by it. We live in the midst of it. Mesmerizing, enthralling, pleasing. Our ocean is unique, a vibrant marine habitat. We have loyal whales who never leave our seas, turtles who always return to our shorelines, mangroves sequestering carbon, dugongs gliding beneath the waves, seagrass meadows pumping oxygen we breathe, underwater reefs sheltering marine life. But they're struggling. Coral reefs bleached, our seabeds scraped over by foreign fishing trawlers. We're depleting our marine life through overfishing. Plastic and chemical waste pollution gush into our oceans. Coastal sand is disappearing. Marine animals killed by dynamite. Turtles entangling in goose nets. Ships colliding with whales. Climate change. Global warming. Oil spills. coastal construction, ocean acidification. Ocean's life is draining. We need the ocean. Our survival depends on it. The sea around us is now a hotspot for geopolitics, trade, security, maritime ventures, and crime. Our impact on the ocean matters. Our ocean is our lungs, our hearts, our nerves. Without it, no one can survive. We can only thrive if our oceans survive. Let's strive to be the guardians of the ocean. Let us be the protectors, together, for our ocean.
Hi, my name is Muditha Katuwawala. I'm the coordinator of the Pearl Protectors. I would like to welcome you all to the World Oceans Day Summit, where today's session is on corporate contributions in minimizing plastic pollution, under the theme of ocean pollution. World Oceans Day Summit is hosted by the Pearl Protectors in partnership with MEPA, Blue Resource Trust, and World Oceans Day Organization. The World Oceans Day Summit intends to delve into all aspects of the ocean around Sri Lanka, while highlighting key challenges, opportunities, and inspiring Sri Lankans to love and care for our marine environment. Parallelly, we have had conducting the World Oceans Day through art exhibition and competition, where last night was the deadline for all submissions. We are happy to say that we have received more than 1,000 amazing artwork, and our team and the judges are now shortlisting the top 36 winners. We will be announcing the winners on 8th of June at the conclusion of this summit at 5:30 p.m. The exhibition is now the largest virtual art exhibition and competition ever to be conducted. Meanwhile, you can learn more about the summit on pearlprotectors.org. The topic of the session today will be very insightful and important, as we intend to delve into the contributions made by several corporations on how they minimize the usage of single-use plastic. I hope this session will be a guiding path for many other corporates to reduce the plastic usage while inspiring how corporates perceive the contribution in protecting our ocean. We will be discussing with three prominent representatives from the retail industry, hospitality industry, and restaurant and food service industry. We have got some great guests today to talk about the topic. Introducing Shana Dandeniya, who is the co-founder and director of Cafe Kumbuk. Hi, Shana.
Hi, Muditha. Hi.
We have Nilusha Fernando, who is the head of marketing at Keells Supermarkets. Hi, Nilusha.
Hi, Muditha. Hi.
We also have Vimukthi Veeratunga, who is a wildlife and fisheries scientist and a nature photographer who will be representing Cinnamon Holidays. Hi, Vimukthi, welcome.
Hi, Mudit. Thanks for having me here.
Great. I would like to request all our audience to send us any questions you may have. We will try to answer the most relevant and interesting questions, of course. and at the end of the session. Simply add your questions to the comment section on either Facebook or YouTube. So to start off with, I would like to ask my first question from Shana. So Shana, Cafe Kumbuk is one of the leading restaurants in Sri Lanka who has cut down on all plastic usage. The restaurant is also Pearl Protector approved at a photic level, which is also the highest level. What really inspired you?
That's a good question. What inspired us, I mean, from the very beginning, we've always wanted to cut down on our consumption of, plastic, and also especially one-time use plastic, because there's a lot of that going around, especially when it comes to takeaway packaging. And it was very hard, I think, over the past 5 years to find suitable alternatives that people can use. And I think, for us, it's been built into our ethos for a very long time that that's exactly what we wanted to do. Every year, we learn more and more about the subject and the topic, and Pearl Protectors have actually helped us to understand that better. And so, this is the contribution that we can give to our community at this time.
Thank you, Shana. We are really glad to have you on board with the Pearl Protector approved. I would like to ask Nilusha. Keells is in the process of minimizing plastic usage within their supermarkets. We, of course, the Pearl Protectors also have been assisting and strategizing, helping you with strategizing this. What really started this reduction campaign?
So it was back in 2017, particularly after the Muditha incident, that we realized that waiting for legislation to change or be enforced might not really be the route, but taking ownership and making incremental changes would be how we would want to inspire change. Even at that time, we had taken certain steps. We had converted our packaging at the bakeries into paper and cardboard, and we were already incentivizing customers who were bringing their bags. Then in 2019, Muditha, like you mentioned, after much debate, discussion, and trials, we went on and launched a pledge to reduce by 50% our single-use polythene bags, as well as our in-store food packaging, by making it either compostable, recyclable, or reusable. It wasn't an easy journey, but we also realized that as a business, we were generating a certain percentage of single-use polythene. And as a responsible entity, it is up to us to also take the mantle and drive this agenda forward.
Thank you, Nilusha. We wish you all the all the best in in the efforts Keells is taking in trying to reduce the plastic usage. Coming back to, I think, Vimukti, how much has been achieved by Cinnamon in reducing single-use plastic items in its hotels, and what specific strategy was used towards reducing? If you could elaborate on the challenges you have faced also, maybe?
Yes, thank you very much, Muditha. Yes, the Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts being a part of the larger John Keells group, our policies are aligned with the John Keells group policies, as well as the United Nations sustainable goals. So that's how we strategize our environmental policies and things like that. So there are two folds that I'm going to talk about. One is, of course, the Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts, and also the group level. We are doing some initiatives, so I'll discuss that. In terms of Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts, our major plastic part that we looked at is the plastic bottles. The number is staggering. It's about 2 million bottles per year. So that is, then we thought, okay, we will start from the plastic bottles and straws in the guest-facing area. So it'll be totally plastic-free in October 2021. Very ambitious targets, but we are working on that. And then we have already started 2 pilot resorts, and then it's working very well. so that we are going to rolling out the plan to achieve our targets in October 2021. So one other thing that you highlighted, which is the main part, is the challenges. It is very easier said and done because the market is not matured enough to provide the supplies, the bottles, the lids, and stickers or whatever it is. It's very difficult because the cinnamon as a brand, these water bottles that we are going to put, the glass water bottles, are not the water bottles that we take from the market, from the shelves. It's a cinnamon branded product. So the hygiene has to look at, health and safety part has to look at, independent evaluation has to be done, tested has to be done, and also the most difficult part is it's 100% increase of our expenditures on water. So with all these challenges, and also there's a functionality challenge. The storage, the bottles are breaking up. The labor part is, the labor is bit intense when you handle water bottles. So all of these challenges have been looked at, and we are positive that we will achieve these goals in October 2021. So that's one part. The second part is the group level, which is the John Keells group has established a social entrepreneurship program. It's called Plasticycle. I think you have seen advertisement at the beginning of the program. And this Plasticycle program is the catalyst to reduce the single-use plastic, number one. Number two, responsible disposal. Number three is the recycling process. So in these three areas, the Plasticycle is also collaborating. So we are going with partnership with the Plasticycle, communities, hotel, staff, and everything together to achieve this very ambitious targets.
That's very interesting. So, I mean, we are right now in a very challenging time. We for 2 years now, we've been faced with this pandemic. So I want to really touch base upon how COVID has come into play. So maybe if I start off with Keells, like Nilusha, COVID brought in a lot of challenges for everyone. Has plastic usage mitigation, which you've been carrying out, has it been faced with any challenges during this period?
Muditha, I think you're absolutely right. With COVID-19, it came with its own unique set of challenges, and it has, to some extent, slowed down the progress. For example, to begin with, the use of PPE for our staff is now unavoidable. So that's one point. There were certain projects that we did want to implement that we've had to hold back due to certain obstacles. But apart from this, like I said, progress in certain areas also have been hampered. For example, last year, we wanted to change our top crust bread bags into compostable bags. And we were unable to do it in 2020, but it was 2021 January when we were able to launch it due to these intermittent lockdowns and things like that. Of course, there were certain things that we didn't anticipate as well. For example, during the first lockdown, when our stores were closed, the movement of certain stocks was also slow. We realized that some of our older compostable bag packaging has in fact begun to compost. So that was another interesting challenge that we had to deal with and plan ahead in any future lockdowns. One other thing that we've noticed is comparing to pre-COVID levels, customers have significantly reduced bringing their reusable bags and their containers when they shop. Bring your own box was something Keells introduced as a retailer. We've seen a significant drop in customers, possibly due to COVID fears. We've also seen a drop in the number of people buying reusable bags for the purpose of reuse. So I think you're correct in saying that it has had an impact.
That's really that's quite sad, but I mean, the only hope we can do is have is this pandemic really goes off fast, and we can go back to our normal lives. Bringing that question to Shana, Cafe Kumbuk had to close down many times during the pandemic, and you had to resort to deliveries. How do you manage to do deliveries with reduced plastic? What strategies were used, and what were your challenges?
Yeah, I think every industry has faced their own unique set of challenges. I mean, from hospitality, it's been very difficult with the sort of stopping and starting of business. Definitely difficult to keep, educating our staff is one side of this, is making sure that they understand our goals and working towards the common goal of eliminating plastic. And so with the stopping and starting a business, that is kind of tough, because every time you stop, you sort of have to go back to re-educating everyone again on why we're trying to do this. I think it's certainly been very difficult with delivery, especially. It requires a lot of packaging. There's a balance you have to strike when you're serving hot food and sending it to people's homes. You have to ensure that the food travels well and that it doesn't get soggy, or, there's so many different factors that come into play. And so one of the main things that you have to do is ensure that it's packed appropriately. The easy route would obviously be to pack it in plastic, because that tends to do the job and hold it together. But because of our commitment to not using plastic, we have tried to eliminate, even through our delivery service, as much of it as possible. There are small setbacks where there are certain, and I think Vimukti touched on it as well, is that suppliers are not geared for this kind of quantity either, of the kinds of quantities that every restaurant and hospitality business needs right now to be able to use biodegradable packaging. So it's been very challenging trying to get a steady supply, trying to make sure that with the lockdowns that we've been able to get deliveries on time, which, it's that fine line of, okay, do we just give our customers plastic and because it's the easy route? But we've done whatever we could at this time to try and, find different suppliers, work with different people, have a network of suppliers that can help us at any given time. But definitely it's a work in progress. But as we get used to these sort of stopping, starting lockdowns, I feel that we're getting better at learning how to move with it. And hopefully our goal is by the end of this year, even with delivery, to eliminate plastic altogether, even the smallest containers that we have.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic. I think the other restaurants who are also Pearl Protector approved have had similar challenges, especially because there's a lack of utilities when it comes to alternatives. I think when we talk about pandemic, the worst hit was the hospitality industry. So I would like to ask now from Vimukti maybe. How severe was the COVID impact on you all, and how has regulation impacted in reducing the single-use plastic items, or have you been able to commit throughout towards reducing the usage? You also mentioned that October is one of your deadlines. How achievable? How do you intend to achieve that?
Well, it's not a secret that how the hospitality industry, the tourism hit hard from this COVID pandemic. Tourism is non-existence in real terms, but in a way it automatically reduced the single-use plastics also. But at the same time, sometimes our tourist hotels have been converted into isolation centers. So in those situations, we wanted to get some health and safety issues in laundry bags and things like that. So we converted those into paper bags also. So some changes have done, but nevertheless, all these drawbacks, we are not going to stop to reaching our goals. In fact, Cinnamon Grand started a program. It's called not a rule, but a discipline to reduce the sort of plastic amenities, like toothbrushes, pens, and things like that. And then they recycle through the plastic cycle. The programs are continuing. One thing that we know for sure, once this pandemic is over, hopefully sooner than later, there'll be a huge boost of the tourism and the hospitality industry. So we are getting ready for that change. We are getting ready for that wave, I would say. So because of that, we can't stop. We can't stop and wait. We can't idle. So we just continuously working on our goals, no matter how costly it is. Well, of course, the revenues are down. Nevertheless, there's a huge financial commitment from the Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts for us to move towards achieving these goals that we set at the beginning of the year.
Thank you, Vimukti. I think apart from COVID, I think the hospitality industry, especially down the coastline, it has been affected even severely because of the recent disaster. So the beaches are the beautiful beaches are littered with plastic. So it's really emotional to see something like that happening to some of our pristine beaches. But before I move on to the next round, I want to remind all our audience to ask any questions. If you do have, you can just simply comment on your Facebook, wherever you're watching, or even on YouTube, on the comment section, and we will be able to ask those questions if relevant and if they haven't been asked already. Shana, how difficult is it to find plastic alternatives, like the items in Sri Lanka, and how has the cost really affected business? What can be done to create more demand for plastic alternatives in Sri Lanka? Maybe if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. I think since the past 5 years, we've been trying to find alternatives. There are a few suppliers that we work with that have given us a steady stream of it. I think a lot of it seems to be imported, so it is rather costly, and also it is affected big time by these lockdowns and shipping costs and things like that, and so I think there is and customs as well. So I think there's a lot of issues in that regard, which makes it a lot more difficult to get a hold of. But the suppliers that we do work with have tried, I think, to negotiate and make it as affordable for restaurant partners as possible. And we're very thankful for that, because that's the only way we've been able to do this. I think more restaurants have to work together more. More of the hotel chains have to come together and make a conscious decision that this is what we have to do and what we have to work towards, so that we can then get a better supply, a steadier supply of, these kinds of materials. It will be interesting to see if there are any local suppliers, and I would encourage local suppliers to also get in touch, and speak to our establishments, because that would be an amazing thing to happen in Sri Lanka, is to see a lot of this sustainable packaging being produced here. I think, for us, we work with a lot of cardboard and a lot of paper products, rather than the sort of sugarcane product. Packaging that you would see in maybe Thailand and other places. So I think it's fairly easy, if I'm not mistaken, to produce it here. But I think it has been a challenge for sure. There are still certain things like, let's say, coffee cups. You can get the paper cup, but the actual lid is always in plastic. And it's very difficult to try and find an alternative that is 100% biodegradable. So I think those are the kinds of things we need to start working towards now. And, I think hopefully we'll get there. It's just a case of working together to see how we can make that happen.
That's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because with the recent the regulations, the bans on sachets, and along with a few other plastic items, one of the main requests sent out by the CEA, the Central and the government, was to promote alternatives in Sri Lanka. So I think I hope this platform will be an inspiration for local entrepreneurs to really switch into creating more alternatives where we can all use. So moving on, I think we were talking about beaches. Vimukti, it's imperative that shorelines need to stay clean to attract tourists. Cinnamon has led a beach cleaning initiative along with other CSR initiatives to keep the ocean clean. Could you explain how your brand has been formulated in conducting such activities, and how best can the staff also be mobilized for such initiatives?
You're absolutely right, Muditha, because not only the beaches, but also the clean ocean, the coral reefs and ocean biodiversity is a big part of hospitality industry, tourism. It's not just the beach, but also the other habitats that are connected to the ocean, and that is very important. So we initiated a program called, it's not a beach cleaning program, it's called beach caretaker program. So we have started in beginning of end of last year, November 2020. We are testing cinnamon Hikkaduwa Hikkatrans and also cinnamon Bay Beruala. Cinnamon Bay Beruala, we are looking at 6 kilometer stretch, and Hikkatrans, we are looking at, Cinnamon Bay, we are looking at the 3 kilometer stretch. Hikkatrans, we are looking at the 6 kilometer stretch with the collaboration of the communities and the other hoteliers and things like that, because the Hikkaduwa is a much more crowded in terms of the hospitality, the hotels and things like that. So we are trying to be the leader and try to bring the community, Plastic Cycle, our CSR program, and also other hoteliers, so that everybody contribute equally, and then have a clean beach and the clean ocean. So that we have placed some bins, and the cleaning program is doing almost daily basis. So daily collection of the plastic and garbage is about 25 kilograms. And if some stretches are sort of much more frequently cleaned. So depending on the level of pollution, the weightage changes from the day to day, but it is almost daily basis process now, both in both locations. So we are hoping that to introduce another program, it's called introducing some of the boyas to stop the plastic getting into the ocean. These are called inland waterways. That's one of the main sources for the single-use plastics into the ocean. So if you place a boya, or called boom, collection boom, and so that we employ communities to collect the plastic and then dispose responsibly. That sort of program also in the line, because of the COVID, I think it just dragged a little bit. But I think those programs are in the books now. So we are slowly implementing one by one as we move forward.
Do you have your staff be volunteers on this?
Yes,
or how?
yes, that's a big part of beach caretaker program. Our staff is a big, our staff volunteering is a big part, and in addition to that, sometimes the group send a volunteer announcement to the other companies to become a part of the group a beach caretaker program, so that sometimes we get more staff engagement in the beach clean. It's one of the very popular staff volunteer program in the John Keells group. In addition to that, CSR, the John Keells Foundation, which is the CSR arm of the Cinnamon group, also conducting a lot of beach cleanup programs time to time, depending on the request from the marine pollution and marine environmental pollution authority, and then the new issue with the ship also. There's a request came from the MIPA, and then we provided lot of support for the beach cleaning program. So we are fighting in multiple fronts. It's just not one area, and we are looking at many more fronts. And however the way that we can engage and contribute and become a catalyst and implementing partner, we will definitely engage with them.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. The volunteer aspect is quite important, because right now Sri Lanka is ranked #1 in the world when it comes to volunteer contributions. It's just because we are like, our culture, our traditions are also kind of aligned towards it. So it's good that we all like, facilitate volunteerism in Sri Lanka. So that's something the Pearl Protectors is also doing and engaging. Uh, Moving on to Nilusha, almost all items manufactured has plastic wrapping. I mean, this is a big problem. What possible action can be taken by retail industries to incentivize plastic-free packaging or to reduce unnecessary plastic usage?
Muditha, I think that's a tough question, but I think these are the kind of conversations that we must have to kind of achieve a solution. What we've realized is collaboration is key. Usually when suppliers find out that you are also on the same journey to reduce your impact on the environment, they are open to collaborating. So whether it is looking at vending machines that dispense liquid like household cleaning material or personal care items, or whether it is looking at removing packaging in the logistics, storage, and merchandising, most suppliers, if you reach out to them, are willing to collaborate. I think what's required as a first step is the meeting the right stakeholders, the two teams to meet, and then have an open conversation, set down targets, and kind of go after it. I think it's important also for businesses to be open to failure at some point, because we are venturing into a little space of unknown. So be open to testing and trialing new things. And I think that's the way ahead if we are to work with our suppliers in attempting to reduce some of that single-use polythene in the packaging.
Yeah, it's quite sad to see, like, if you see the last 10-15 years, constantly unnecessary wrapping packaging has been increasing. So it's vital that all retail industries could, like, actively contribute or take action in reducing these unnecessary wrapping. Maybe bulk would be option, but yeah, of course, this is something that needs to be discussed to really reduce the plastic usage in Sri Lanka. Moving on, I think Shana, how has the reception been from the customers when they find out that you at that Cafe Kumbuk has zero plastic? How important is it to recognize restaurants who make this transition?
I think the response has been amazing. I think we've had so many people that recognize the good work of restaurants, not just us, but anyone who's making that commitment to plastic free, or trying to limit the use of plastic within their business or within their lives in general. I think there's a huge community of people that have this, that hold this sort of this basically this limiting of plastic very close to their hearts. I mean, it's a very important thing. And I think that the community is very well educated and they understand the need to reduce it. So for us, it was built into our ethos. It's what we've always wanted to do. And my experience working with the Good Market previously as well had helped us to sort of build that within our business and grow more aware of the reasoning for cutting down on plastic. But I think that in general, if more businesses can do this and commit to this, it'll be hugely well received. And I think that it really helps businesses to grow and also to get a more loyal following as well, because you're doing something for the community and for the country as well.
Thanks, Shana. That was really good. I mean, I want to ask the same question from Vimukti as well, because hospitality industry, we see a lot of guests and customers coming in. How has the reception been towards the brand by guests and customers towards reducing plastic, and how can this transformation towards non-plastic items can be achieved in hospitality industry in the larger sector? What needs to happen to hotels to make this easy for them to transform?
Muditha, good question. The clients, which means for us, they are guests. The guests are evolving. They are, of course, there's a pressure from the guest side also to the hospitality industry to reduce the plastic, especially in the guest-facing area. So we looked at that part also. Even before we get the pressure from the guests, we looked at these initiatives. We always sort of challenge ourselves about our status quo, and then that is why we took a very strong policy decision to make it zero plastic in the guest facing areas, so that the guest will be happy, we will be happy, and they will have a memorable experience, memorable holiday in Sri Lanka. So that's a part of that's the direction that we are moving forward. I have to emphasize that the back end plastic will be there. These are all guest facing areas, but those plastics, of course, we will dispose responsibly with the partnership of the Plastic Cycle, which is John Keells Group, one of our partners. So that part is there, but that experience, the holiday experience, the memorable holiday experience is going to be worthwhile value addition if the hotel, if the resort is plastic, zero plastic. So that's the area that we are looking at now.
Thanks, Vimukti. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Moving on, I think, Nilusha, what plans does Keells have in minimizing plastic usage in the future? Is it possible to have more voluntary phase outs from using single-use plastic, such as like plastic bags and even juice cups?
Muditha, I think the first step for us would be to be able to achieve that commitment that we pledged to. So by 2025 or possibly earlier, we would like to achieve reducing by half our single-use polythene use, maybe even earlier or go slightly above and beyond that. We've not stopped only at that. We've even looked at removing plastic corrugate material in our in-store point of sale materials as well. One of the biggest challenges that we have had is in creating awareness among our 5,000 plus staff spread across the country and getting them involved actively in this journey. And that continues to be a challenge, but that's something we are actively working on. But much like the rest of the world, I think there is still so much that we can do, like you mentioned, and we will continue to make incremental changes. I think this journey is not something that you can achieve success alone, and it really requires collaboration and cooperation of all parties involved.
Thanks, Nilusha. So I want to ask a simple question. I think I'll ask this from all three of you, because this platform, what we want, this platform is to be sort of a path for the industries to really start looking at, switching, making the switch, going for alternatives, cutting down on plastic. What simple tips or like strategies can be shared in point form, maybe very shortly, for other restaurants, maybe retail and hospitality industry to cut down on plastic usage? Maybe if I can start with Nilusha.
Sure. I think the first step is set up a target for yourself, no matter how small, measure where you are and start working towards it. And make sure you build that enthusiasm and culture that even Vimukti was talking about within your business. It's also interesting if you can encourage and incentivize your customer base and kind of positively reinforce if they're doing the right thing by bringing reusable bags and such. Also, creating awareness among your staff is very important, and continuing on that journey, no matter what. Even if you have a high staff turnover, continuing on that journey is also very important. If these three things don't come together, I think it won't be achievable, but those are the three things I'd like to leave everyone with.
Thank you. That's really good. Can I maybe ask the same question from Shana?
Yeah, I think Nilusha said a lot of it. I think those points are all extremely. I think that resonates with me too. I would say probably just touching on something Nilusha had said earlier was be open to failure. You know, so it's not always going to work out, and especially for food businesses like mine, you may switch to non-plastic packaging and find that certain dishes may not work well for delivery, and so you have to be open to changing things and working with it basically. And I would say on that note, don't be discouraged if it doesn't go the way that you intended, because your intention is much bigger, far bigger and far better than than that. So I think all of her points, but that too.
Those were some really inspiring comments. Finally, I would like to ask Vimukti, what do you have to share? What's your opinion?
Well, best thing is to start something small. It doesn't matter. Everything counts. Every small step counts. And best thing is to keep it close to your heart. And staff awareness, staff engagement is extremely important. You have to do it with a passion. You have to do it with a keeping it closer to the heart. I can tell you one small example that I was traveling to Rwanda. When the aircraft was approaching to Kigali, which is the capital city of Rwanda, the first announcement of the pilot is, don't take a single piece of plastic out of the aircraft. I was shocked. There's a tiny poor nation in the middle of Africa, 10 years plastic free, because they have not done it like overnight. This is not an overnight journey. It's a step by step. Everybody has to work together. The government has a huge role to play. Private sector, who is running the business, who is running the economy of the country, has a big role to play. It doesn't matter you are a small operator, whether you are a big operator, whether you are a household. Do it genuinely, and then you will be happy. Environment will be happy. Thank you.
Yeah, those were some really wise words, especially about the example you brought in. Like, we are talking about developing countries, taking these the commitments towards, like, cutting down on plastic. We've seen the same in Kenya as well, and we've seen how that those cities are becoming so beautiful, more healthy. So like you said, it's a step-by-step process, but that commitment is what's important. And I think corporations do have a larger role to play as well, along with the individuals as the governments. So I would like to now go towards the audience questions. I know there's a lot of comments, positive comments as well, but there is a specific question. Now, I think this might be intended towards Keells. You referred to biodegradable bags. So I think I'll just read it out. The term compostable bags are quite confusing in Sri Lanka. Are you referring to oxo-degradable bags or really biodegradable compostable bags? Nilusha, any comments on that?
So one thing we were specific was that it is not the oxo-biodegradable version that we use. So it is made out of completely natural materials, cornstarch. We are sourcing it from a local supplier who's well known, and it is home compostable as well.
Thanks. I think we have some good sessions coming up after this as well, which we really like to delve into, about really inspiring entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka, so where they can really start manufacturing these alternatives, where the corporates and retail and other industries can use. Well, it seems like that's about of it for questions. So I would like to maybe conclude the session today. So let me just see if there's any other quick questions. No. So we can go ahead and conclude the session. It has been, it is now time to conclude, of course, because we are running out of time. I would like to thank our exclusive patron, the EU, the European Union delegation to Sri Lanka and Maldives, and of course the summit patron, Dilma Conservation and Keells, and the supporting patron, Plastic Cycle. I hope you all enjoyed and learned a lot about this topic, which is under corporate contributions and minimizing plastic pollution. Please do stay tuned in for the rest of the summit, as we intend to talk a lot more about our oceans and how we can contribute towards protecting it. Our next session will be starting in 15 minutes, and it's on eco-entrepreneurship initiatives in Sri Lanka. I want to specifically thank Nilusha, Shana, and Vimukti for being here. That was a great discussion, and all the best in your contributions in cutting down plastic in Sri Lanka. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.